Alright, today I'm going to be talking about updating Windows 10. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about patching Windows 10 Pro. If you're using Windows 10 Home, you don't have much control over the patching process, and if you're using Windows 10 Enterprise, you're likely in a business domain environment running off a patching platform. So we're going to look at the settings for Windows 10 Pro updating. Microsoft continues to change the settings that they expose through the standard GUI, and they're not being real consistent with that. So basically, when I go in to set these settings, I basically like to go into local group policy to set those. So we're going to go in and look at those settings right now. Basically, you want to right click on your start button, go to run, and type in gpedit.msc and click OK. And our local group policy editor is going to come up. Let's maximize it and get a little bit of room here. Okay, so if you go to computer configuration and expand administrative templates, and then expand Windows components, come all the way down here to Windows Update. And here's the settings we're going to be looking at today. So there's really just a few that are key that we're going to take a look at. So the first one is configure automatic updates. So basically here, and of course each time you want to set the settings for any one of these, you want to click enabled, and then basically between these options right here, I recommend you use either number 2 or number 3. Number 2 basically notifies you before download and install, and number 3 downloads and notifies you before install. So I recommend you pick number 2 or number 3. If you are an IT person or you've been around patching for a while, you're probably familiar with these settings. One thing I do want to kind of mention while we're in here that's new is if you scroll down here a little bit, there's some new options here for scheduling. Basically, there's a first, second, third, and fourth week scheduling option. Microsoft updating policies for a very long time have centered around a weekly schedule and not really a monthly schedule. So these settings here are new, and they're a little bit outside the context of what we're looking at today, but it's actually pretty cool that Microsoft is putting these enhanced scheduling features in here. So I just kind of wanted to point it out while we're in here. So anyway, we'll go back to, I'm going with option number 2. So basically, when there's new updates available, it's going to prompt me before downloading and updating. So the other key one that I would recommend here is to go in where it says do not include drivers with Windows updates and go ahead and enable this. I would recommend in general not including drivers with your Windows updates that you're installing. So in this list, those are the two key ones that I want to look at, but then go up here where it says Windows Update for Business, and we're going to look at these two right here. The first one here says select when preview builds and feature updates are received. So let's go in and take a look at this. So basically, if you want to delay when your system installs a major Windows 10 feature update, here's where you want to go in and control what it's doing. So after enabling this policy, the first thing that I would recommend is that you select semi-annual channel. Semi-annual channel is the closest thing they have now to what was formerly called current branch for business. So this is the new terminology. I suggest you select that, and then you can pick the number of days you want to delay. So if you look in the description over here to the right, it'll tell you how long you can basically delay, and you have up to a year, basically 365 days. So if you don't like installing the feature updates very often or basically soon after they're released, then just crank this number up pretty high, and that's where you can control that setting. So similarly, the setting below that says select when quality updates are received. These are basically the monthly cumulative updates that include security patches. So this you can basically delay up to a month, up to 30 days. So if you're security conscious and want to install them pretty soon after they're released, you might want to pick, like, let's say 5 days. If you really don't want to install them very often and you feel like your other security layers will cover you pretty well, then you could, kick this up to a much higher number. So basically these two settings control the amount of delay that you have, how rapidly you install the routine monthly updates as well as the major feature updates. So those two settings, in addition to the drivers and the standard scheduling settings that we've already looked at, those right there should give you a pretty good level of control over when you are installing the updates and how often you're being prompted for them. And I think that's about it. Thanks for watching.